At 12 o'clock, we got Rutgers, which went 5-8 last year, traveling to Boston College, which went 6-6. Boston College favored by 7.5 points on the ACC network. I'll go over all their players, and then I'm going to talk about how both teams are really kind of fascinating. Noah Vedral, the quarterback for Rutgers, went 180, 303 last year, threw for 1,813 yards, 7 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. Kyle Menenge had 62 carries for 235 yards and 4 touchdowns. And Sean Ryan had 25 catches for 399 yards and 3 touchdowns. Phil Yurkovich went 52-96 last year, threw for 914 yards, 7 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, and had 54.2% completion percentage. Pat Garwo III went 205 at 1,045 and had 7 touchdowns. Zay Flowers had 44 catches for 746 yards and 5 touchdowns. Now, Boston College is 20-6 against Rutgers all time, and the last 11 have gone to Boston College spanning from 1995 to 2019. But I think this game could be really interesting, simply because you look at Rutgers. Rutgers is a team they're an improving football team. They've definitely gotten better just since I've started watching them. I started watching them in 2018, 2017, and they were just god-awful. They were the joke of the Big Ten, and they're suddenly not the joke anymore. And that's really kind of cool for a Rutgers program that has sucked for so long to finally be able to say that they're not the joke of the Big Ten. I think probably Nebraska's the joke of the Big Ten now. A lot of people joke about Nebraska being horrible, and I feel like a lot that has some merit. I think Nebraska's now the joke of the Big Ten, and Rutgers is no longer the joke of the Big Ten. This is a team that could go back to back-to-back bowls this year. I legitimately think that. I think they could get to 6 wins. They only got 5 wins last year. They went 5-8. Obviously, they ended up making a bowl game last year simply because another team dropped out, and Wake Forest had to have someone to play. So Rutgers decided to be that sacrificial lamb. But Rutgers is a team that I don't think is bad by any stretch of the imagination. I think they're a good, solid football team. They almost upset Michigan last year. A lot of people forget. They were very close to beating Michigan week 2 or week 3, I think. This is a Michigan team that almost made the playoffs. So, again, Rutgers is a pretty good football team, and I think could get to a bowl game this year. Boston College, on the other hand, as a team, I'd like to talk a little bit about as well because they're also a really fascinating football team. This was a team undefeated until Phil Yurkovich got hurt, and I think that's a big deal. I really do think that is a point worth mentioning. That I was talking about Boston College until Phil Yurkovich got hurt. That kind of threw their season into a spiral. But you still retain one of the best quarterbacks in the ACC in Phil Yurkovich. I know there's an argument to be made that obviously Tyler Van Dyke's ahead of him and Devin Leary's ahead of him, and when healthy, Sam Hartman. But Phil Yurkovich, when healthy, it's hard to argue is not a good quarterback. Zay Flowers, on the other hand, is one of the best receivers in the ACC. And I don't see any argument about that. Zay Flowers is one of the best ones. I think this game gets close. I think it's really close. I think Boston College comes out on top simply because Phil Yurkovich and Zay Flowers is hard to stop. But I think Rutgers does cover that 7.5 point spread.